Urban Carvers, the latest craze in electric skateboards, the darling of e-skate at the moment, led by two very popular brands, LaCroix and Cali NYC. So when Flux Motion reached out and asked me to review their offering, I was really keen to get my teeth into it. So here it is, guys, the Flux Motion. So when the box arrived, I was initially actually a little bit disappointed. Guys, this is exactly how the box arrived. Open almost down the entire length and the box smashed in several places. I was actually a little bit disappointed, but I got it open the last little bit and was quite pleased to see the charger, the accessories pack, and actually what turned out to be a beautiful Urban Carver. I'm really fond of these graphics and this grip tape design, something different, something you don't always see. And look at that under tray battery, guys, it's absolutely huge, packed full of cells, more about that later. On initial inspection, I noticed that quite a few of the bolts underneath were actually loose. In fact, there was 12 out of, I think, 20 bolts loose, but it's not a problem. Get the old Allen key out and I tightened them all up, and I thought that'd be the end of it. However, we will talk a little bit more about this later. One other thing I noticed is the wires, the motor phase wires at the back are not secured to anything. I thought this was a bit of an odd choice. I'd be expecting to see a P-clip here just holding those wires against the truck to stop them flapping around. And a closer inspection of the deck revealed there were some scratches and some damage on the board. I'm going to put this down to the real poor packaging. This is definitely an area that Flux can improve on. But other than that, guys, like I said, an absolutely beautiful deck. I am a big fan of this design. I have no idea why there's a polar bear on top of an ice cream, but yeah, massive shout out to Carlotta on the design. She's obviously a very talented artist indeed. As with all Urban Carvers, the standing platform on this deck is fairly substantial, coming in at 78 centimeters long and about 28 centimeters wide. And we also have quite a substantial wheelbase on this thing. It's coming in at 98.5 centimeters approximately. The longer the wheelbase, the more stable the board. And those MBS Metal Matrix 2 trucks coming in with a track width of about 40 centimeters. So Lee, what do all these figures mean? Well, on the rough stuff, it's a super stable platform thanks to that long wheelbase and wide deck. But also, if you want to go and carve, you can absolutely do that as well, guys. This thing is super carvy with those MBS Metal Matrix 2 trucks. I really enjoyed riding this thing. It's an absolute pleasure cruising about on this board, just hooning around town. The trucks on offer with this board are the very good MBS Metal Matrix 2s. These have a long pedigree in electric mountain boarding. They're probably the most used truck in electric mountain boarding, and they're well regarded. Those yellow things you see there are the shock blocks, which are the bushings, and they can be changed out. They come in 3 different colours: yellow, orange and red. Now the good thing is about these is that you can change them out very, very quickly. All you need to do is remove these preload adjusters, slip the old ones out and put the new ones in, and then put the adjusters back in. Now I've tried this board in all different combinations. I tried orange all round, yellow all round, and orange in the back, yellow at the front. And I think for me, the best combination was orange at the back and yellow in the front. This allows the board to be stable, but also still carvy. You can get around those tight bends, but also hit top speed on this thing without any problems at all. So the wheels that come as standard on this board are the MBS Rockstar 2s. These are a two-piece split rim design, and you'll also find these on the Lacroix Lone Star. Now, I've seen these guys in different colours. I've seen them in blue, I've seen them in camo, I've seen them in carbon fibre, and MBS even sell some metal versions if you really wanted to pimp this thing up, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with these wheels as standard. Now, obviously the tyres that come on this board are road tyres, but that doesn't mean that you can't go off-road with it. I did actually explore quite a bit of the local park on this thing, and it had absolutely no problems with going on grass, compacted dirt trails, and some really rough stuff, to be honest. It's pretty good. Obviously you've got that under tray battery to consider, but you shouldn't think that you can only do road riding with this thing. You can do some sort of light trail riding, some mixed terrain stuff if that's what's on your usual rides. You won't need to be afraid of that stuff. The drivetrain is Electric Board Solutions' very own 20mm belt drive kit. The wheel pulley has 68 teeth and the motor pulley has 15 teeth, giving a gear ratio of 4.53 to 1. With the 12S battery, this gives a theoretical loaded top speed of 32.5 miles an hour. Top speed isn't really a metric that interests me personally. I'm more about torque, which this board has bags of. Wide belts like this have advantages and disadvantages. They allow you to run the belt looser whilst avoiding belt skipping on braking, but trying to kick push this thing isn't a pleasure. Wide belts have less efficiency than skinny belts, but that isn't really a problem with this board. The Flux comes with a massive 12S 10P Samsung 35E battery. You may have heard of these cells before. These are the same cells used in the Lamborghini of Eastgate, the Evolve GTR. Oh God, guys, I can't even say that without laughing. Who put that in the script? Come on. This cell has a meager 8 amp max discharge, but offers a whopping 3,500 milliamp hour per cell capacity. They're designed to be used in high P group packs like this monster Flux pack. Here, I'll illustrate it for you. The Evolve GTR has a 10S 4P 35E pack, giving a total battery size of 504 watt hour and a pathetic 32 amp max discharge. The Flux Motion has a 12S 10P 35E pack, giving a total battery size of 1,512 watt hour and a respectable 80 amp max discharge. And for comparison, the Lacroix Lone Star has a 12S 10P Samsung 50E pack, giving a total pack size of 2,152 watt hours. The 50E is a 21700 cell, which is bigger and more energy dense than the 18650 35E cell found in the Flux though. Myself and Q did take the Flux out for a full range test in the rain and managed to achieve a respectable 35 miles range. Whilst less than the 50 miles quoted by Flux, we have to account for the fact that I'm 110 kilos of Great British beef, even more with the ridiculous amount of camera gear I take out on a shoot. I also never baby a board on a range test. I don't think that's representative of real life, so I just ride the board as I normally would, with fast sections, slow sections, and plenty of carving until I feel like the board is too slow to be fun to ride anymore. Strangely, the board was running at a decent clip until it wasn't. It was like a switch flicked from partially charged to completely discharged. I'm going to put this down to the discharge curve of the 35E. I have a whole other video about the range test adventure with Cube, so look out for that. I feel like now is a good time to address the charger. This is a version 1 board and it's shipped with a 4 amp charger. This makes the charge time a whopping 8 hours or so. The version 2 boards that are shipping now have a bigger 10 amp charger, which will bring down the charge times significantly. And let's also take a moment to marvel at that battery enclosure. It's ABS, which would usually get some minus points from me, as they have a tendency to crack, but I don't think that's going to happen here. Look how thick it is. This is built to last, and I did give it a bit of punishment, and it's held up just fine. The board ships with the famous Flux VX1. I personally love the VX1 and I use it myself on my own board, and you can also find it as the standard remote on the premium Carvers, the LaCroix and the Cali NYC. It's a pretty simple thumb scroll wheel device, but it does offer rudimentary battery level indication and a cruise control if that's your thing. One improvement I'd like to see is the option to upgrade to the VX2, which is essentially the same remote but with an added telemetry screen. Other than that, this is a nice, robust, functional remote that does the job well. So what's the board like to ride? In 2 words, very good. It's carvy, torquey, and offers a high top speed and range. Okay, it's not an off-road monster with those road tyres and under tray clearance, but it definitely has the capability of not only handling paved roads, but also compact dirt trails and grass. So you could ride this confidently on mixed trails. The Foxbox Unity motor controller is a well-proven unit and does the job here. I'd like to see it bolted to an external heatsink for maximum cooling, but I have to say that I never ran into thermal issues here in the UK, but as always, your mileage may vary. The Flux Motion is an incredibly capable machine, but things look even better when you consider the price. The board is currently on a pre-order price of €2,250, which is £2,009, with a final price of €2,850, which is £2,544. When you consider the LaCroix Nazare is $3,240 or £2,518, and the Lone Star is $3,899 or £2,989, then you add on the fact that taxes are paid on the Flux but not on the LaCroix, you can see the value difference. This board sits in the middle of them both performance-wise, but destroys them both value-wise. It does offer great value. Sure, it doesn't have the community around it like the LaCroix currently does, but that can develop. I'd like to see a couple of minor things change. For a start, the packaging needs to be revised. The motor cables could be attached to the truck bolts with P-clips to prevent rubbing. I also noticed the enclosure bolts come loose after every single ride. These could do with a drop of Loctite on them to prevent that. And as I've already mentioned, the charger is getting upgraded to batch 2. These are mostly minor points that Flux can address, but even if they didn't, it's easily done by the end user. All in all, I think this is a solid board and definitely worth considering if you are in the market for a street carver. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank Flux Motion for sending me their board to review and being really patient while I got this review out the way. Flux Motion are the first company to ever offer me a board for review, no strings attached, and I am sending it back. I don't get to keep it. They've been totally cool about whatever I want to say and have been completely non-evasive during the review process. And I think this is really important. I've been able to say exactly how I feel about this board without any repercussions. And that to me means a lot and says a lot about the intentions of a company. And I think that's really important, guys. That's something that I hold dearly as a YouTuber. So I hope you've enjoyed this honest review of the Flux Motion, what I think of the Flux Motion. And if you've got one or you're planning on getting one, let me know in the comments, guys. The board is on pre-order sale now for another week, I believe, from the date of this video going live. So if you really do fancy one, now is the time to get one. Let me know in the comments. I'll be really interested to hear. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.